I'm just wondering why the province believes that there should be more trials, considering there has been global trials done, more than 100,000 doses have been used in the United States, and there's a need for it now in British Columbia. Why the delay, and why is it not being used in the province now?
Yeah, so bamlanivimab, Richard. We have very early on here in BC and other parts of the country as well, we created a clinical reference group. And I created that group, and we targeted the people who are experts on this, on what therapies work for people both in the ICU and for people in the community. And that clinical reference group has been looking at the clinical care reference group has been looking at all of the treatments that have come out around the world from the very beginning, whether it's dexamethasone or remdesivir or hydroxychloroquine, all of the ones that we've seen more recently, bamlanivimab and also colchicine recently in the last week. There was a paper out of Montreal. But those clinical trials have shown that there is still more understanding of who exactly this drug works best in. And the clinical care reference group has come up with a trial that will help us understand that. There is still not consensus among those experts, the clinical care, the physicians who are actually treating patients, about the benefits of bamlanivimab. Because the clinical trials were not cut and dried, and so they are setting up a trial. And I think the other thing to be really clear with this drug is that it's not just a poke in the arm. It's an hour-long infusion with a 2-hour period of time where you have to be observed, and it is you need to have it within a certain period of time of being tested positive. So the clinical trials are being set up. I know the ethics review has been put in already, because we need to be able to say to people, this is the risks versus benefits of this drug, and do you consent to be part of understanding how it might work best? So that's what's going on right now. I'm really confident that this is going to happen. I know the timeline is for later this month and 1st of March. So I think it's going to add to the literature of what we know about who it works best in, and that will make sure that we know how to use it properly going forward.
Follow-up, Richard?
As well from Eli Lilly is they're no longer going to be doing placebo-based trials. They have made the decision that they believe holding back treatment is something that could cause harm and even death, and won't do it. So how will these trials work if not placebo-based, and are you concerned about the company taking that stance?
No, the clinicians who do this for a living are working that out, and I have confidence. I've seen the early proposal that they have, and it's about who gets selected for the trial and what do you monitor and what is the ethical protocol that's being followed. So I have confidence that they're coming up with a reasonable approach for who should get this. And clinical trials, randomized controlled clinical trials with placebos are for those period of times where we have equipoise. We don't know if it's good or if there's benefits outweigh the risks and vice versa. So we are a little bit tipped towards the people that should use this drug, but the trials were not 100%, and it really only worked best when it was in combination with another antiviral. So I'm leaving it to the clinical experts to put together the trial that needs to answer that question, and they're in the process of doing that now.
Good afternoon, Dr. Henry. My question is regarding the AbCellera and Eli Lilly drug. The recent results of the phase 3 BLAZE-2 trial show that the drug is also efficient in preventing severe outcomes of COVID-19 and not just helping in treatment. So is the trial also testing the drug's prophylactic properties, or is it just to see how it works in the treatment? And secondly, when this trial is being conducted, are the variants also being studied?
Yeah, so a couple of things around that. Yes. No, it is not being studied as a prophylaxis, so something that prevents transmission after exposure. There was some limited data that suggested that might be in long-term care homes, But now, of course, with immunization programs and long-term care, it's a bit of a moot point. So we don't have the ability to study it in long-term care. Again, the data was not clear-cut, so it does need to be investigated a little bit more. So it is focusing on early treatment of people who are likely or more likely or at risk to develop severe illness, end up in hospital. And as you can say, it has to be within a certain period of time of being diagnosed with the disease for it to work. And this is one of the concerns. We will be, I am sure, part of the trial will be ensuring we know what strain the person is infected with. Because there has been evidence from around the world that these monoclonal antibodies don't work as well on some of the variants, particularly the South African variant, but also concerns about their benefit in the UK variant. So that'll be part of it for sure. I think it's a very important thing to understand, where it's working or not working.
Prabhat, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, and in case there is an approval for this drug, and it was mentioned earlier that there are logistical issues, and you mentioned it today as well, that the person has to be given a 2-hour-long IV. So what kind of situations do you think it might be easier to use this drug? Are you looking at long-term care or any specific area where you can use this?
Yeah, so the idea is to use it in people in the community, and let's just be clear, it is approved for use by Health Canada, and BC has an allocation of it's got an emergency approval for use by Health Canada, so that means that we can use it in the public health emergency, and the clinicians here in BC felt that they needed to better understand who it works best in. So the idea is to use it for people in the community who have been diagnosed with COVID-19, who have risk factors for ending up in hospital or having severe illness. So it will be through an outpatient clinic associated with Surrey Memorial Hospital to start. But I know the clinicians are looking at where else in the community you could do that. But as you say, it's not something that you can do just in a physician's office. It takes a very specialized type of environment to give an infusion over a period of an hour and then the monitoring period. So there are absolutely mostly some of the ambulatory clinics that are associated with hospitals where that can happen, and I know they're looking at how to do that best.